Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. It's episode 86. As usual, I'm Mark.
And I'm Jasmin.
Obviously, I'm from the UK, and you are
I'm
all the
in
way
Texas.
there. I mainly said that because of that jumper that you're wearing. So, obviously, you look like you're in Walmart. I'm in my kitchen.
Yes, I am in a Walmart at the moment, hanging with my Stay Puffed marshmallow friends here.
Your homies.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, I love the fact that he's got the carrot.
No, yeah, the umbrella through his nose.
Oh no, it's an umbrella. Sorry, it looked like a big carrot. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. But please also remember to subscribe and like this video and to subscribe to our channel and click the, what do you call it, Mark? The button, the ding, the bell.
The bell, notification bell.
Click the notification button so that you know when we upload new videos. And if you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also love it if you could give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Spotify.
Awesome.
Also, spoiler warning, we are definitely going to be spoiling everything about all of the Ghostbusters today.
So we're talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife this week, after the news and after the other stuff that we talk about. Ghostbusters Afterlife is what we're talking about this week. So yes, and we're going to spoil the crap out of it.
Oh yeah.
100%. I mean, most people hopefully have seen it by now. We are a little bit late. It came out
it just came out on digital, which is how we saw it. So it came out on digital at the beginning of January. So there's plenty of time for people to catch up if you have not seen it.
So before we jump into any news, have you had a good week?
Yeah, I am very glad that the week is done. I am very much looking forward to the weekend. Even though I'm doing kind of boring stuff this weekend, I am taking like a very, very small investing class. I want to learn how to do that kind of stuff. So that is on my agenda for the weekend. I did do some reading this week, which it's an extremely inappropriate title. And it was so completely ridiculous. But I loved it so much. It is a manga.
I can't read it. It's too glossy. Dick Fight Island, is that what it says?
That is exactly what it says. Okay. It is a manga called Dick Fight Island. It is about this group of islands that each island has a ruler, and all of the rulers come together and they fight in this tournament once every 4 years for to see who is going to be king of all of the islands. It is basically like a battle royale. And since it is titled Dick Fight Island, the point is that all of the fighters have their manhood covered. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see this cover, but they have their manhood covered in all kinds of crazy spiky armor. And the point is whoever ejaculates first loses. So last guy standing that didn't get a little happy gets to become king of these islands. It is the most ridiculous book I've ever read in my entire life. I laughed all the way through it. It tries to have these heartwarming moments, and some of them land. Most of them, it's just kind of no, that did not work out as well as you thought it would have. But basically, it is just ridiculous fun of exactly what you think it sounds like. Dick Fight Island. If you are interested in a good laugh, I would suggest that.
I like a laugh, but I'm not sure about this book.
No, I don't think that you should buy this book, because I would hate for your daughters, your very, very young daughters, to find this book, because there's very little in the way of censoring in this book here. So it is very much an adult book.
Probably need to be censored for my eyes. Did you read watch anything, or just got caught up in that book?
No, I didn't have time to watch anything this week other than Ghostbusters. This book came out in May, and since I didn't pre-order it, because I buy most of my manga from a small retailer, not off of Amazon, and it had been back ordered since May. So I was just now able to get my copy of Dick Fight Island. So yeah, I was super excited to read it.
I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife at the start of the week. And then throughout the week, really, it was watching Power still. So I've now finished season 2 and started season 3.
All right.
Power is really good.
Still enjoying it?
Yeah, still enjoying it.
Yeah.
I do think it probably focuses too much on the drama of their lives rather than the crime.
Yes.
I do think the crime should be, obviously, be good to see it. Obviously, when I say crime should be increased, I don't mean that in the real world. For a crime show, it kind of shocks me how little crime there is.
Yes. I think that was, as the show went on, I think that would probably be one of my beefs as well. It's like, I get it. You're trying to leave the crime life behind, but that's kind of what makes you, you know?
Yeah. And the other thing that annoys me, and it's the same that annoyed me about Queen of the South. Have you seen Queen of the South?
I have not seen all of it.
Yeah, it was the same thing that annoyed me about Queen of the South. For people as powerful as Ghost and the girl from Queen of the South, they have very little in terms of entourage, and they get too involved in kind of minuscule crimes, for the place that they're in.
Right.
And if they were real life running a gang or a cartel or whatever, they would never be anywhere near most of these crimes. They would be, kind of, most of these people, like Ghost, for instance, runs a nightclub. That would be pretty much what he's doing. He's running a nightclub, having meetings with, I don't know, people in Wall Street or whatever, or entertaining celebrities. And he'd kind of just have somebody that would, kind of almost run this for them. And when there's was it in season 1, Roller or something like that, the Ghost goes and kills. And I just thought Ghost would never do this. He would have someone do it for him. It wouldn't even be a thing. He wouldn't be nowhere near that scene.
Yeah.
There's no way he would ever put himself in that room. But I know a lot of that is because the TV people want to see, like I say, the head of the, Ghost, or the head of, the Queen herself, whatever. They want to see them doing stuff. They don't want to just see them sitting in boardrooms, because that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
But equally, these shows don't have the money to pay for all these different actors and actresses to be the entourage, which you would normally see in a real world gang.
Yeah. But I think part of the thing, the whole point, especially in the first season, was Ghost didn't want to do drugs anymore. That he didn't, that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted the club so that he could be legit, because he thought that he could play with the big boys if he went straight. And things just never quite worked out the way that he wanted them to.
Oh no, well no. So season 2 and season 1 are very much the same story, about him trying to go straight by the end of season 2. But I obviously watched the first episode of season 3 a couple of hours before we came on here, and I love the fact the episode's called "Call Me James," and then by literally the last line of first episode of season 3, he calls someone and says it's Ghost. He calls Tommy and says it's Ghost.
Yeah.
And I was the whole episode you've been trying to tell people you're James. And then at the end,
you can't shake it that easy.
No, I know. But then it's that whole thing, isn't it? Do you want to shake it?
Right. Exactly.
So do you want to shake it? No, you don't want to shake it. So yeah. So but anyway, and reading something. I did read actually a comic. I haven't read flipping comic for a month. I'll be honest with you, I kind of struggled with the whole reading thing the last 4 or 5 weeks, and which is unlike me because I love comics. I normally will read like a couple a day or whatever. You know, I've always got a backlog. I've always got like I've got piles and piles of comics that I buy and never read. I mean, there's a pile over there which I haven't read.
You better be careful before Cooper takes care of it.
Oh, I know. That dog eat anything. But literally, if I put those comics in front of him, he'd eat them. But they are on the table, although that doesn't stop him now because he's big enough to jump up. So anyway, I went to the comic shop on Tuesday. I was working in town, and I went in and I grabbed the first issue of a comic that came out the previous week of She-Hulk by Rainbow Rowell, who has recently been writing the Runaways series at Marvel, but she's a young adult author, like for books. And did you hear that?
Yeah.
Well, that's the dog. So unfortunately, he's not.
Apparently, he likes She-Hulk too.
Apparently, he's not sleeping. So he was asleep. So anyway, but She-Hulk, I've never read. No, that's a lie. I think I've read one She-Hulk story like 20 years ago. But other than that, I've never read like She-Hulk. And it was really easy to get into, to be honest. I mean, you kind of don't really need. I kind of know about her already. Obviously, she's the cousin of Bruce Wayne. She got her powers from a blood transfusion. When she turns into the Hulk.
Bruce Banner.
Sorry, what did I say?
Bruce Wayne.
Oh, sorry, Bruce Banner. Yes, you're all right. Bruce Banner.
I was like, wait, a She-Hulk Batman crossover? What?
Yeah,
I want to read that too.
Yeah, maybe they should make the Hulk and Batman merge together, and so anyway, got blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, but when she becomes the Hulk, she maintains her intelligence. She's also a lawyer. I kind of knew all that stuff, and actually, it was kind of like a nice intro into her life. And it was actually like a really easy read, and like it was enjoyable. Actually, I really liked it, and I went back in the shop on Thursday, and I mentioned I really enjoyed it, and he said, yeah, like the guy behind the counter said, I've actually heard really good things about She-Hulk issue 1, so I'd recommend grabbing it. It was like, it was an easy read, and I didn't feel I needed to know anything other than what I kind of knew. There's only one thing at the end. It ended with some character returning from the dead, so to speak, who I have heard of but knew nothing about. That was the only one thing I was a bit like, I don't know who this Jack guy, I can't remember I think it was Jack of Hearts or something like that. And I was like, this is the one thing I don't get. So hopefully I thought if I do read issue 2, hopefully they'll expand on that. But other than that, it was actually quite a nice read.
Well, that's good to know, because it's always so hard to jump into a series that's been ongoing, even if it is a new number 1. So it's nice to know that you can jump into that number 1 without any kind of background knowledge and still be okay with the story.
Well, yeah, if you do bomb into comic shop, honestly, I'd grab that She-Hulk issue 1. It's actually quite a nice read. I don't know if I'll necessarily carry on with it, because trying to cut down my pull list, not expand on it.
Yeah, but the series is coming up this year, right?
That was another, with the girl from
Tatiana.
Yeah, Orphan Black, yeah. So obviously well-timed comic series coming out. So
of course.
But anyway, let's jump into some news. So
all right,
just got a couple of pieces of news here. So one for me, one for you. So excitement time. Master of the Universe is always a good subject on this podcast. So apparently they found their new He-Man, and it's also moving. So basically Sony, from what I've read, have had the rights to the movies since like forever or something, but now it's moving to do a joint venture between Mattel Films and Netflix, and the new He-Man is going to be a guy, I'm not sure if I'm familiar with him, I don't know if you are, Kyle Allen from West Side Story. I've not seen West Side Story, and he's going to play Prince Adam He-Man.
Wasn't it supposed to be Noah Centineo? A while ago, I thought that when they were talking about doing a new He-Man, that Noah was going to be in that role.
Yeah, I think, I don't know who it was, but I heard that there was somebody previously attached to it, and that's obviously fallen away. So,
okay. Makes sense, though, for Netflix to pick it up, since they have Masters of the Universe, the animated one.
well, they have two animated ones, don't they? They've got and I don't know if you've heard of it, but they've got Master of the Universe Revelation, which we reviewed part one of, but they've also got Master of the Universe, like a young kids animated show, which is kind of more sort of back to basics. But yeah, so I've not watched that one, but
well, they also have that She-Ra kids show as well.
Yeah. I actually did watch the first few episodes of that last year. Actually, I should probably go back. Like I kind of had it on in the background. Like if I was working, I would sometimes I kind of wouldn't. I'd kind of like half have an eye on it. Like I'd kind of put it on because sometimes working in silence gets a bit annoying. Like when you're working at home.
I never work without music ever.
And I find music can help me, but sometimes if I'm tapping my feet, I can get a bit like suddenly I'm like, oh, actually, I'm more dancing than I am working. So I tend to not always have music on, but if I have something light in the background on, I feel like that's kind of like being in the office.
Yeah.
So She-Ra was quite easy to put on, but yeah, I forgot that. Like I put the first 5 or 6 episodes on and just had it sort of running away.
Yeah.
I
think that could be good for Netflix. Like they seem to be. Well, they're raising our prices, so. They better be coming out with some new shit.
Oh yeah, well yeah, they need more money probably for this new He-Man film. Hopefully they're gonna. So, do you think they're gonna have a Dolph Lundgren cameo?
Ooh, good question. Maybe.
They have to, don't they? Surely.
I mean, I think it would be more exciting if they had a Frank Langella. Cameo. That would be freaking awesome.
I was gonna say
if he was like some old dude that owns a bookstore or something, like not actually.
No, I was gonna say bring him back as Skeletor. Like just do it. Like why not? You brought back.
You could bring him back as Skeletor, and he like dies at the very beginning, and then like his son that he had with Evelyn or something like could take over, and that's how you get like these new younger versions of all these characters.
No, actually just have him as Skeletor. Like, like I mean they do it with I'm terrible with names. Obviously the guy Green Goblin in No Way Home, like what's his name?
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe. Like he came back like 20 years later.
Yeah, like, I think Frank Langella is a lot older than.
Yeah, I know. Maybe he needs a frame or something. But like,
do they have walkers and like canes?
Well, yeah, maybe they wheel Skeletor in like in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
or something.
It could be some new technology that they've created or something.
Yeah. That could be what they do. Like. How old is he? Like,
I don't know. I'm imagining he's got to be like pushing 80. That's my guess.
I mean,
I feel like he was already old when he did that film way back then.
Hold on. I want to find out how old he is. Oh, yeah, how old he is. Oh, it's funny. Like, yeah, he wouldn't like us laughing at him, but he was born in 1938.
That's up there, man. 83.
Yeah, 83. Yeah.
I was close when I said pushing 80. 83.
I mean, he's still doing stuff like
I think he could be like the Skeletor that's on the outs, and then we get a new Skeletor come in.
I hadn't put this together. He plays Gabriel in The Americans. I completely I just realized that now. Oh, I love The Americans. Have you seen The Americans?
No. Heard of it, never watched it.
Oh, so good. Like about a Russian undercover sleeper family, whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my He-Man news. Basically, there's going to be a new He-Man. The film's going to be directed by Aaron and Adam Nee. And the screenplay is by somebody called David Callum. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes me nervous. Because
did Shang-Chi.
Wonder Woman 84 was freaking awful.
Yeah, but he did Shang-Chi, which was good.
Yes, it was. But let's hope then that this is definitely more like Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi.
Maybe
like Wonder Woman 84.
Maybe when he wrote Wonder Woman, he was having a bad day. Or many bad days.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm willing to give anybody the benefit of the doubt on that one.
No, I just mean he wrote a really good script with Shang-Chi, so I don't know what happened. Maybe he was under the weather when he wrote Wonder Woman.
Maybe. Who knows? Something was off.
He had a bad time, like a real bad time.
He was on a bad trip for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So our next piece of news has me super dope, super excited. Guess who is joining the Fast and Furious franchise for Fast 10?
Well, I know.
Jason Momoa. How exciting. So rumor has it that they have been trying to get Jason Momoa into this franchise for a long time. In fact, he was supposed to have been in Hobbs and Shaw. He would have played the character that Roman Reigns actually plays, who is Hobbs's cousin. So it's going to be really exciting, I think, to have Jason Momoa and hopefully The Rock, if him and Vin Diesel can reconcile, to have the two of them together. We'll see.
I don't think the Rock's coming back. Maybe they just haven't offered the Rock enough money.
I mean, it's hard to turn down that kind of money, though. Like,
although I don't think Rock really needs that money now.
This is true. But yeah, so Jason Momoa reportedly set for some sort of villainous role in Fast 10. How exciting!
If they didn't bring back The Rock and like recast Hobbs, which they never would,
they wouldn't do that.
I don't think there's anyone that could play Hobbs.
No.
There's nobody like The Rock in Hollywood. You know how you get some actors and actresses that are similar?
Yes.
There's nobody like The Rock. Well, probably the closest is Vin Diesel. Like,
yeah, okay, well, now
in terms of those type of films.
Only in terms of those type, I feel like Vin doesn't have that range that The Rock has. Like,
The Rock does comedy well, but I don't think Vin Diesel does comedy well.
I mean, what was that movie that he did where he was a babysitter?
Pacifier. That actually was quite a good film. Like, to be fair, yeah, that was quite a good film. I might have to give you that. Yeah, but he doesn't do as much comedy. Like,
no. He can do serious, and he can do like, because I actually thought that he was pretty good in Knock Around Guys. Where he still plays like a goon, but more like the silent deadly type. He doesn't really have much to say. He's just like the muscle. But there was still a lot of emotion that he emoted well in that state. But also the Iron Giant, he is fantastic as the voice of the Iron Giant in that film.
I've not seen that either.
What? You've never seen the Iron Giant?
No.
We are watching the Iron Giant. 100%.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Oh my God! I cannot believe you haven't seen the Iron Giant.
No.
What? That is something you need to watch with your kids, man. It's so good. It's so good. That movie still makes me cry.
Like Clifford the Big Red Dog as well.
I am not freaking watching Clifford.
Yeah, next week.
No offense to you, Kay. I am not watching Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Like, yeah. That's Jasmin's reference to our our end of year episode with Paperbacks guys. So Kay seemed to love the Big Red Dog. I'm not really into wanting to watch that Red Dog film, and the Iron Giant does not really appeal to me. But anyway, we've gone off on a thingy here, so we weren't really talking about Vin Diesel. The only thing I would say about Vin Diesel is, so where you got The Rock here, like pretty much, I think is a lot more versatile. He can take on different. He tends to do the more action and comical roles. Like I kind of think he's a little bit samey. He was in that film on Netflix with
Red Notice.
Yeah, I couldn't really watch that film. I didn't like that film. I got like 20 minutes in, and I was like, no, this is.
I haven't seen it.
But The Rock is basically playing. The guy. What's his name? The guy who plays Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds and The Rock are basically playing the. No, she was good, but The Rock and Ryan Reynolds are basically just playing the same characters they play in most things, like comedy action guy. Like Ryan Reynolds did a good job in Free Guy, though. I thought.
I am waiting for Free Guy to hit Disney Plus, which is supposed to be happening in February.
Oh, Free Guy is so good.
I want to see
so
that.
So funny.
Yeah.
I'll be good when you watch it. Let me know. There's a really funny moment.
I'm not going to tell you until you watch the Iron Giant.
There's a really funny moment in Free Guy towards the end. And I was like, oh, so good. Like, it made me laugh really like a lot. But I don't want to ruin it for you because actually the comedy is more from the fact that it's a surprise.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyway, I think Jason Momoa would be a good fit for the Fast films.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we do something where we're not going to space. That was really stupid.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do you know what they could do for the next film is like make like a bit like Speed 2, like maybe they could race some cruise ships or something like that.
Yes, especially since Jason Momoa was Aquaman, there should definitely be a water component to this next Fast
yeah. So he should
submarines or something.
Maybe they should cast him as Aquaman in the film.
Yes. Aquaman is the new villain for Fast 10.
It's Universal, unfortunately. So I don't know if Warner Brothers will go for it, but you could.
Dang it.
I mean, they made Roger Rabbit, and Disney and Warner Brothers all had characters in Roger Rabbit. So.
I mean, they could just call him Ocean Guy.
Ocean Man. Like, yeah, rather than Aquaman, Ocean Guy. Like,
Ocean Guy. Come on, somebody hire us. We're here. We're available. Yeah. We can help you write your new franchise.
Do you know, like, it is funny when you do have characters like that are in other things, and like Ryan Reynolds, obviously with Deadpool, the amount of jokes that he made about Green Lantern, like for instance.
Yes.
Like, but anyway, we're finished there with that. But we were kind of, before we started recording, we started talking about some rumors and stuff that was going around, and we were like,
completely unconfirmed, nothing behind them so far, but they're still fun to think about.
Yeah. So one of the rumors is apparently Tom Cruise could be an Iron Man variant in Doctor Strange 2. And now I know for ages they wanted Tom Cruise to be Iron Man
before they got Robert Downey. Jr. Yeah.
Although I think actually it was really good casting with Robert Downey Jr. So, and I think if Tom Cruise had been in it, imagine how badly the Marvel universe would have gone. It would have been all centered around Tom Cruise
universe. Yes.
Like, it would have been, wouldn't have been the MCU. It would have been the TCU or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
I think if Tom Cruise had been cast as Iron Man, it would have been awful. Like,
I mean, I think he still would have been able to do a good job, but he is.
It wouldn't have got the MCU.
Terror to work with, like,
it wouldn't have been the MCU.
No.
It wouldn't have been the MCU.
It would have been the whole. It would have been the Tomverse for sure.
He would have wanted to show up in every film.
Yeah.
Like, and probably as a main role, he'll be in the Spider-Man.
But he would have wanted like all the glory. Like he would have wanted to be the one to wield Mjolnir. Like, he would have been the one to have the shields. He would have wanted it all.
It'd be like, look, we don't need Avengers with all these different people in.
Yeah, we're just going to give him all of the weapons, and he'll be everyone. Yeah, he'll be Hawkeye. He'll be Black Widow. We can even make him Hulk too. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. He'll just maybe like film like the whole team. He'll just like play every different role. Like, he'll be Black Widow.
Yes, put him in a wig, a red long-haired wig. I would pay to see that.
So I'm more hoping this whole appearance in Doctor Strange 2 is just more of a cameo rather than, although I don't know if Tom Cruise does cameos, but maybe they've convinced him it'd be funny. Like,
listen, Tom Cruise, he's crazy wild in like his real life, which I'm not going to comment on all of the things that I think are awry with that, but Tom Cruise is really fucking funny when you let him be, because he is one of the best parts of Tropic Thunder.
Oh, I think, do you know what? As an actor, I think he's an amazing actor. I just think he's got a huge ego. Like, I mean, I think he's a very driven individual.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of and apparently that is like, he has, when he's in a movie, he gives it his all. I love the fact that he does his own stunts. I mean, there's that scene where he jumps from one roof to the other and like breaks his foot or something or whatever.
Yeah, or like when he's actually hanging off of airplanes. Yeah, no, thank you. No, stunt double. That is your job. I'm gonna let you take that one. I'm not hanging from no damn airplane.
Yeah, no, 100%. So there's a couple other rumors, and I've no idea if they're true. I mean, again, we were doing this with I've been doing it with No Way Home, so we thought we'd do it again. Apparently, rumors could turn out to just be nonsense, but there's a few with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Apparently, again, someone said maybe they could show up in Doctor Strange 2 as well. I imagine if that happened,
aren't they done filming that? Like, wouldn't they already had to have filmed any cameos?
Yeah, they probably have if they've already done it. So,
so would this have been since we already have you on the set of No Way Home, we're going to need you for an extra day so that we can film your cameo for this other one too?
Yeah, maybe it could be, because obviously Doctor Strange was in No Way Home, so they could have just said, "Look, can the three of you just go down that corridor over there, and just we need you for 10 minutes?" And they're probably like, "Yeah, all right, we're here." So like it could. I imagine if they are in it, it's going to be definitely much more of a cameo. I don't think they'll be.
It's probably going to have something to do with No Way Home directly, like. Yeah. A scene from No Way Home playing out in a different way than we saw it in No Way Home. Like that would be my guess if they're going to cameo in the Strange sequel.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of hype and talk about, I think this is probably just more fans, but like around trying to get Sony to make a Garfield sort of Amazing Spider-Man 3 and a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4. I think that's a lot more fan speculation than anything else.
I mean, I think that everybody was just on a high after seeing them all in No Way Home. So I don't really see that happening. Like I don't know if I see how you connect it.
I don't know if I see it happening, but I think it would be awesome if they did. And what might be cool is if they put Andrew Garfield and say Venom in the same universe. So that would be cool. And I be honest, I would love a Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4. Like,
I mean,
he would have to rejig his
still
script.
My favorite. So like I'm all for it. But Tobey is very much the like old grizzly veteran at this point. So there's no way that you could do another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and him be the main Spider-Man. It would definitely have to be like a passing of the torch.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it would be
I can
interesting
see you using that if you're going to introduce like Spider-Gwen or like someone else.
Miles.
No, I want Miles in the MCU. So I don't want Sony to introduce him. Like because we've already got the Spider-Verse films from Sony. So like if they're going to introduce Miles, I want Miles to be part of the MCU. Yeah,
that would be cool. I mean, see what happens to that. But yeah, anyway, there's just a bunch of rumors and fan speculation and
that's all.
And probably fan casting and fan hope.
It's all pipe dreams, man.
Yeah.
That's what podcasting is all about. It's pipe dreams. Like this is the kind of shit that we want to see on screen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Anything with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, if they play Andrew Garfield Spider-Man the way they did No Way Home, I'd be up for a Spider-Man 3 with him. Like. Or him playing more Spider-Man. How he was handled in No Way Home was much better than how he was handled in his previous two films.
It was his redemption arc.
100%. Right. Shall we jump into the main event?
Here we go.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes, it is from Sony, directed by Jason Reitman. Funny fact, that is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original Ghostbusters in 1984. This film was written by Gil Kenan and Jason Reitman. It is based on Ghostbusters from 1984, which was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Rest in peace. It stars Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Paul Rudd, Logan Kim, Celeste O'Connor, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and Sigourney Weaver. Names you may be familiar with.
I wouldn't say the names I'm familiar with would necessarily starred. I would say more like,
especially Sigourney Weaver. That was
when her name came up in the titles. It's like, what?
Yeah, I thought there was going to be much more than that, but
then they showed her for like 3 seconds. Like, So anyway, Ghostbusters Afterlife release date in the US and the UK was the same, 19th of November 2021. That was in theaters. Obviously, Jasmin said it's out digitally now. So budget was $75 million US. So far at the worldwide box office, and there's not much time left, but it's made almost 200 million with 100 total was 195 million US.
Even though it seems like that's good, apparently that is not so great because of all of the extra money that all of the COVID delays cost this film. Rumor has it that this film needed to make 275 in order to break even.
Well,
I don't see it making 275, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think it's a difficult sell, Ghostbusters Afterlife, but only from an outsider's point of view, in terms of, right, okay, so you've made a completely different style of film than the first two, and also the original actors are barely in it. I mean, really barely in it. So you're essentially advertising it for new people, really. Like, yes. But then as people know it's a sequel, like, and some of these people, you've got to think there's some 20-year-olds that have probably never seen the first two.
Yes.
So would they go and see Ghostbusters Afterlife here, and this is a sequel to the film that came out in the 80s?
Yeah. I mean, they even make reference to that in the film at some point when one of the kids, who is 12 years old in the film and very probably close to that age in real life as well, they were like, you don't remember what happened in Manhattan in 1984? And they were like, that was 20 years before I was born. Like, no, of course not. I don't remember that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's, like I say, it's a 12-year-old. So is the chance of a 12-year-old now, for instance, has seen those first two Ghostbusters? Well, probably not, unless their parents made them.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
So I've never made
unless you are the child of a millennial, then I doubt that 12-year-olds have seen the first two Ghostbuster films.
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, as we said, the movie is a bit of a sequel, reboot, or in the Scream words, a threequel, or whatever you want to call it, like
a requel.
So, is it a requel? Sorry,
it's a
basically
a reboot sequel.
It is basically a reboot sequel, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. So it's a sequel if you want to think it's a sequel, or it's a reboot if you want to think it's a reboot that pays tribute to those two films. And the film itself is about what do you call it, like a much more serious style of film. Although Paul Rudd does bring some comedy,
yes,
I would say
it has its cheesy moments, but it's definitely more like a family pulling at the heartstrings kind of film, more so than a straight campy cheesy horror film that the first film was.
And that's the thing. When I saw the trailer for it, like, God, the trailer must have come out like well over a year ago.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I thought the trailer before, it's cool. I was like, this is not the Ghostbusters I remember. So, and that's the weird thing. So anyway, probably just jump in actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and Mark, though, we have another film here where we differ greatly on like how I don't know. I think I liked it a lot more than Mark did, which is usually rare. It's usually the other way around. Mark usually likes stuff a lot more than I do.
I don't hate this film. Like, but anyway, go on, you do your thoughts on the movie.
I really enjoyed this movie. I mean, the nostalgia value was so high for me because I remember being a kid and having Ghostbusters toys of my own. Yeah. So the fact that we get to see a kid go through the motions of like getting to use the Ghostbuster tools from back in the day, like it was almost like I can definitely imagine myself as Phoebe, just because like I would lose my mind if I had the opportunity to use a proton pack. Like, are you shitting me? I would like lose my mind. I used to, when I had a whole Ghostbuster set when I was a kid. I had the proton pack, I had the ghost trap, I had an Ecto-1, like, oh my God, I was obsessed with Ghostbusters. So for me, watching this film with all of that original nostalgia from the first Ghostbusters film, like really just took me back to like how fun it was back then to be a fan of Ghostbusters.
I had all the toys too. Like I had the building, the firehouse. I had the car. I had loads of the figures.
Oh yeah.
I had Slimer. I had some of the stupid sort of bad guys that they had.
I was super disappointed there was no Slimer in this one.
No, there was a Slimer.
Yeah, but no, he had a different name. He was Muncher. He was not Slimer.
Yeah, but he was Slimer. Like,
yeah, but he's not as cool as Slimer, though.
He was basically Slimer.
Yeah, but the point of Slimer was Slimer interacted with the Ghostbusters, so he was kind of like that annoying thing that you just can't get rid of, versus Muncher was just like background.
Well, Muncher did have a did have a use later in the film.
Yes.
So, but anyway, my thoughts on this movie. Right. Okay. So, like, yeah, the trailer and stuff, like I say, it was very action packed, slightly comical, but mainly seemed to steer around the seriousness, and that did play out throughout the film. It was quite a slow build movie, incorporated, I think, enough sort of nods of the hat to the originals, like, and I like the fact they even showed some footage on YouTube in the movie of the trailer that they made, which I thought was cool. Like, if you've got a problem, and yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, and I loved how the original Ghostbusters showed up at the end. I did like the fact that they must have got permission from the family, but like having Egon as a ghost at the end, like, so
it was digitized. And kind of the way that they did what's his face in that Star Wars film, since he had died.
Yeah. That's what I thought of. And I thought to myself, okay, look, is this a nice thing to do? Like, in terms of, so I was thinking this, like, I've thought this before, like, what's to stop people, say, if, like, I don't know, if we were joking about Tom Cruise, what's to stop Tom Cruise if, say, Tom Cruise died, and the studio going, do you know what, we're just going to make Tom Cruise films without him, he's dead, and we're just going to keep casting some random guy to fill the physical part, but we're going to just constantly use Tom Cruise's face. There's a danger, I think, if you go too far with it, you could end up cutting people out of jobs.
Listen, the technology is there, and it's been there for a long time, because James Cameron really wanted Jet Li to have some kind of role in Avatar, and he wanted to use like all of Jet Li's moves, and he wanted to digitize those moves, and Jet Li refused. He was like, no, you can't have my moves without me. So people have been trying to do that for a while now. So I imagine, especially if Meta has their way and we end up getting like a metaverse, like it is coming. It is 100% coming very soon, I imagine.
I mean, yeah. Maybe they, I don't know. Like, I was born in the 80s. I'd be quite happy to go back to 4 channels and no internet. I'm not joking. I love the internet. Like, but like, I don't know. I do think these people with a lot of money are trying to really push technology, and eventually you're going to end up with these low-level positions like gone. And what's going to happen to poor people? Like,
it's getting wild. It is definitely getting wild. The technology's there. So with this one, they actually did have a person playing Ghost Egon, and that person again was Ivan Reitman, who was the original director and this director's father. So he played the physical version of Egon that we see as a ghost, but Egon's face was digitized over Ivan Reitman's face.
I'm pretty glad they didn't speak, though, because I did also think that wouldn't necessarily be nice, because I assume the family had given permission for him to be in it. But how weird would it be if they got him to speak and digitized his voice to sound like him? I think they did kind of creepy.
Yeah, I think they did that way on purpose, because before he died, he actually had a series of strokes and he lost his ability to communicate. So I think
I didn't realize that.
Him not speaking was probably a nod to that.
Oh, okay.
It's my guess. I have no proof of that, but that would be what my guess is. Yeah. So the original Egon actor, Egon Spengler, played by Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis passed away in 2014.
Yeah, quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in terms of my overall thoughts, I didn't hate this movie. Did I love this movie? Not really, no. Like, but looking at it overall, I think it did enough. I think it was a good intro movie in terms of, if you didn't know about the 2 previous Ghostbusters, you could have easily watched this without knowing.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I think it was a good introduction movie to all these new characters and a reintroduction to the original Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And it definitely sets up a sequel, which actually I think if there was going to be a sequel, I think that sequel would play much more towards the first two Ghostbusters movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's how it appeared to be leading. Now, with what you said about the fact they needed to make 275 million to break even, it does leave me to be concerned that this could be a one and done. So
yeah, I feel like the critical reception was good enough that in spite of a loss, they can always just blame that loss on COVID. So I would not be surprised if we do get a sequel, even if this does not produce the numbers that they thought it would, because I think going forward, people have found a way to work through COVID. So I can see them making another one, and I agree. I think they set it up pretty well. And if they do make another one, it looks like we're going back to New York City.
I would be happy with that. So anyway,
which we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So characters, there's many new characters. There's many. No, there's not many, but there's a few returning. There's a few returning
old heads.
characters.
Yeah.
So did you have any favorites from the returning people?
Yes, Annie Potts. I had always loved Annie Potts' character in the Ghostbusters films. And so to have her back, I got such a kick out of seeing her again.
Trying to think in terms of originals. I know it was only really, really minor, but I did love that after credit scene between Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver. That for me was a brilliant thing, and I love the fact that he'd marked the cards, and he was
that
admitting
he's still like a cheat. Yes.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he admitted that he only used to shock the guys, and Sigourney, I love the chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. To be honest, I was gonna say I love them all, but I did love particularly that scene between Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that they did get her back, even if it was.
I think she had more scenes. They ended up getting cut. Is what I've heard. Yeah.
Okay. So I was gonna say, if it's just that one scene, she could have probably done that at home. So,
in fact, they filmed it at her house, and Bill Murray just came over.
He was coming over, and they rang him up and said, "What are you up to today?" I'm just going to Sigourney's house. Can we just send someone over with a camera and some cards?
Just give us an hour. We'll be out of here in an
hour. So anyway, there's a lot of new characters. Do you have a favorite of a new character?
I have two. Okay. I mean, clearly it's hard not to have this one as a favorite, but Phoebe was very obviously a favorite. But also I loved Podcast. That kid was so cute. I loved the awkwardness that he had, but I also liked the friendship that him and Phoebe formed. Because I think that I don't know, as opposed to you're a nerd and I'm a nerd, let's be friends. It was just kind of they kind of embraced their awkwardness together. And so I just really appreciated that. So I really, really, really liked Podcast and Phoebe.
I think Phoebe actually is a really good choice in terms of favorite characters in the new one. She really got the most stole the show.
Yeah, she did, definitely. She was endearing. She had the most insight. She had the brains to connect the genius of Egon from the old days to bring in that same element into this film. And also she was she came into it with no horse in the game at all. So we actually see a full arc for her character, because when we first start, she's basically more interested in experimenting than she is paying attention to any kind of family drama. And so by the very end, she's kind of I can't believe that you never told me who my grandfather was, and this, that, and the other. And so she goes from this kid who doesn't really care about other people to being this kid that now sees the connection between her love of science and the kind of work that her grandfather did.
I don't know, I was thinking in terms of characters, I actually do think the younger actors like you say, Podcast and Phoebe and
Mhm.
Trevor and Lucky. They all did really well together in terms of how they bonded.
Yeah.
I think Trevor does stand out really well,
Mhm.
but actually, I quite liked his sort of love interest, Lucky.
Yeah.
I think I've never seen her. I've got her name in front of me, Celeste O'Connor. I've never
Yeah.
seen her in anything
I
else.
don't
I'm
think I've
aware
seen
of.
her in anything either.
No, I've got her IMDb in front of me, and there's nothing here that I've seen. There's only a few. There's literally like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah,
6,
she's pretty new.
seven things. 2 are in development or something like that. So I've not seen her in anything, but I thought she was really good. I thought she was really strong. I loved her bit at the end where she has a proton pack. It didn't go too well for her, but I did love her bravado. I thought she was
Yes.
pretty cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely a favorite of mine. I think they had a good, strong female cast in this, which is quite interesting. So considering the next thing we're going to talk about,
how everybody shat on the 2016 version of the film, or the 2016 Ghostbusters film that came out.
So yeah, the 2016 version had Melissa McCarthy, Kirsten Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Lizzie Jones. So I watched that film. Have you seen it?
Yes.
I actually really liked the female Ghostbusters movie.
Me
I thought it was actually
too. It was really freaking funny.
Yeah, I thought it was a hilarious film. My kids actually really liked it as well. My youngest one especially has watched that female one loads of times because it was kind of their generation film.
Right.
Like when I was a kid, obviously we had the original Ghostbusters. So I love the fact that we had this female Ghostbusters movie, and my youngest kid actually seemed to really like it. Kept watching it over and over. So
yeah,
I think it's a bit disappointing that they haven't got that now.
Yeah, well, there was so much discourse when this film came out, and of course the fanboys were the worst about it because they were just so butthurt that, God forbid, women become Ghostbusters. And so like with the director of this one, Jason, he actually said that he, at first it was like he didn't like the idea of a new Ghostbusters film that really didn't have any ties to the original two.
Yeah.
But he said he was inspired by Paul Feige's all women cast, and that was when he got the idea that he wanted a younger generation of Ghostbusters, and he wanted 2 guys and 2 girls to be the 4. So he says that he was inspired by that 2016 film to include girls into the Ghostbusters mix. So I like that part of it. I mean, and I just, it's always frustrating when people get so upset, like at a recasting. I enjoyed that film for what it was. Like, if you took it out of the context of this is not a sequel, then there wasn't much to be upset about because it was not a direct connection to the other films. So did it have the same like nostalgia feel? No, it didn't. It felt like I was watching a totally different film that could have been like in a Ghostbusters adjacent universe. But it was still a lot of fun, that 2016 film. And Chris Hemsworth was hilarious.
Oh, no,
in
he was
that
good
movie.
too. I have to say I did really like that 2016 one, and I would watch it again. I had no problem. Well, what I think they should have done with the 16 version was actually made that a sequel to the original 2. Yeah. Like, rather than trying to make it essentially a completely brand new thing, I think they should have linked it in with the originals, like they did with this Afterlife movie. They should have linked that movie. And I think had they, because obviously all the originals did show up for cameos, I think it would have been much better if they could have had them just show up as cameos in a follow-up movie, which they did in this film. So
yeah, I think it could have been better if they had a direct connection, and that film in 2016 could have done what this one did, but instead of kids, like one of the new Ghostbusters could have been Egon's daughter, like, and that could have been like a big reveal that comes at the end of the film, which was why, like, how she got involved with the whole paranormal research in the first place. You know, it could have, if they were able to incorporate a familial connection in this film, the 2021 film, there's no reason they couldn't have done that in that 2016 film just to bring everything together. And I don't know. I think maybe part of the problem was like everybody seems to go into films nowadays and they're thinking 2 or 3 movies ahead, and it's like, focus on actually telling a story that comes to a conclusion in this film. And if this film does well, then we can go to the next one. But it's like so many people put the cart before the horse. It's like you're banking on getting to the point where you have the opportunity to have a sequel or a third film. And it's like, you waste so much time instead of tightening up your story. And now like nothing is ever going to come of that 2016 film,
Yeah. I don't know. I liked the 16 version. I think it was funny. It was nice, actually kind of nice family, light-hearted film. And, as a guy with 2 daughters, like I think it was quite nice to see something like that. And my 7-year-old actually, she was obviously younger when it came out, but she's actually, I think, well, no, she didn't watch it when it first came out, but she definitely watched it in the last year or 2. And she's really like fallen in love with it and probably watched it 10 or 20 times. And there used to be a thing which she used to say, "Oh, can we put Ghostbusters on?" And I knew what she meant. She meant the girl one, not the one from the 80s. So I like I say, I enjoyed that 16 version. I think where it went wrong was it shouldn't have been its own thing. I think they should have linked it to the original 2, and still had a new formation of a team. But I think the original Ghostbusters, their cameo should have been as the characters from the 80s. So, and like you say, it would have been cool if maybe like one of the girls had been the daughter of, one of the Ghostbusters or something like that. So that would have been a good linkage. But anyway, they didn't do it. They screwed it up. And I think we've got Ghostbusters Afterlife really as a result of that. So, so what do you think about sort of, I guess, the structure and style of the movie? Afterlife, obviously.
I liked it. The only thing I'll say is I can understand the emotion behind Carrie Coon's character, who is Egon's daughter, estranged daughter. But that whole thread, like, I think it was meant to be snarky and like very kind of nonchalant, like the way that she was like very much, I don't care. I'm here to sign papers. I'm here to collect money. Like, I don't care about what else is happening. I thought that became a little bit like overbearing as the film went on. And it was just like, does she literally not have anything else to talk about? Like, is that the only way that you wrote this character? Was that the only time she opens her mouth is when she is bad mouthing her estranged father, or her now
I personally didn't like how much they bashed him as a character in the movie. And I know they kind of redeemed that at the end, where they all suddenly were hugging his ghost and stuff like that. But I just thought, you're really bagging on someone's character who is actually dead in real life and not actually. I know that's like why they kind of had that set up, because he's not alive, and they're kind of trying to explain why he was kind of outcast in the originals, and that's why essentially he can't show up. So they were kind of, I don't know, they kind of just.
But it made like the way that
I didn't like they had bad mouthed him, to be honest. Like,
I didn't like her character because it seemed like, okay, I get it. You're mad at your dad because he left. Okay, fine, but like, you have 2 kids at this point. Like, you have to get over it and like actually raise your own damn children, like, and stop, like, let it go at some point, right? Like, and I just felt like she was probably the least effective character in this film. I mean, I just did not care what happened to her at all, and I think that kind of sucks. Like, I wish they had written her differently, and especially kind of the way that she is just like basically like given up on Phoebe. She's like, I don't really know what to do with her. She doesn't open up to me. She doesn't talk to me. And then at one point she's like, I really wish that she would just kind of, act her age and get into a little bit of trouble. And then when Phoebe gets into a little bit of trouble, she like loses her shit. And I'm like, you literally just said you wish your daughter would get into a little bit more trouble. And now that you got to go pick her ass up out of jail. Now
it's because it's an inconvenience to her.
Yeah. So I really disliked that character very much, because I just thought it was like, you just aren't going to be happy with anything that's happening, are you?
I think for me, the start of the movie, because I love the original 80s comedy style films.
Yes.
So I didn't go into this expecting a comedy. I expected it to be serious and action packed.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it just wasn't serious enough and action packed as it probably could be. Like I was hoping, I don't know, just for more, but it only really got good, I think, once they got the car out, the Ecto one, and like that, where they had all this sort of going around the town, even though they were destroying buildings and stuff. Like I liked the fact that they kind of were trying to do good.
Yes.
But no, I think it's actually quite a good movie in terms of introducing us to a new cast and sort of fleshing that out, but then also bringing in the original cast around sort of the last 10 or 15 minutes, really. Yeah.
I thought that they handled the originals well because they literally brought them in as like a mentor role. And if you're going to do something that happened, like you're bringing in characters that were created 37 years ago, like this is a really good way to do it. Don't give them the opportunity to come in and like steal the scene. Like, I really appreciate that too. Like, they didn't save the day. Like they showed up at the very end of the climax when they're fighting Gozer, but like they still needed the new kids to help them get everything done. So I liked that they brought them in, but like they did not bring them in as like the saviors of the film.
You just said about obviously they brought the originals back in kind of, but didn't save the day. It reminded me a lot of what we talked about last week with Scream, Scream 5. So like, how they brought Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers in more towards the end of the movie, but they kind of weaved them in a little bit earlier. But when they killed a bad guy, they didn't actually kill them. So really it was the new cast that actually killed both the bad guys. But they had them involved enough, and this kind of was a bit the same. So although the original cast came back, and it was a very cool moment that we saw them there with their suits on, their proton packs, and they just crossed the streams. But actually, like it was the new cast that stepped in and saved the day. I think that was pretty cool. So it was nice to have them in there, but we've got to recognize that now this movie was about really the new cast, and I would have liked to have seen the original cast in it a little bit more.
But it really did feel like a passing of the torch. Like it felt like, because Phoebe called Ray and was like, yo, look, I'm calling A because you're the Ghostbusters. Something is happening here, but also B, Egon is my grandfather and he is dead. So we really need some help. So again, bringing them in as like you have been here before, like, please help us figure this out. But they're not like running away or like waiting for the old guys to save the day. Like these kids were really industrious and they really had their shit together, and they very much were like, no, we're going to figure this out. Like
Egon set it all up. Like, so I guess
he did.
I guess if you, we'll talk about the connections to the original films now. Like, actually, before we do, overall, the structure of this film, I think it was quite slow in the beginning.
Yes. I would definitely have cut out some of the beginning.
It was very much world building again, I guess. But I did enjoy seeing the world building. I think it was probably a little bit too slow at the beginning. But I loved it once we got into it and we got the car out and we got the suits on, and when they were fighting, trying to get this world's new version of Slimer and kind of destroying the city. Muncher, Like, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be Slimer. So, and I loved seeing Paul Rudd getting chased through Walmart, even though there's no one in Walmart. Oh my God.
Like, the Stay Puft, that sequence was so cute. It was so cute.
And towards the end, how they had the whole setup, and now kind of link this back to the nostalgia moment. I love the fact that it very much in the last 10 minutes when they brought back the original cast and we had Winston and sort of the montage at the end, and it feels to me, sort of the cut scenes. And even, did you see the last cut scene at the very, very end, like after the titles?
Yes.
Okay, so Winston obviously now it feels
preparing
to me,
the XO1.
And but also the firehouse and
and very much containment tank.
Yeah, it feels to me like very much set up for a sequel,
Yes,
which I
definitely.
feel would have Winston as more of a consultant type role. I think you'd
I
see
think so.
Winston in it a lot more in the second film. I
Yeah.
think if there's going to be a sequel, which I struggle to see if there will
Yes.
be, I feel that the follow up will link a lot much more closely. So I
Yeah.
think this was a good potential stepping stone new film, like introduction stepping stone movie for a hopeful follow-on, which I think that follow-on would play a lot closer, sorry, to those first two movies from the 80s. That's kind of my thoughts. I think this was your stepping stone, essentially your Back to Future 2, isn't it? Really, this is a stepping stone movie.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of reboot sequel movie to get you with the new cast. But I think that a Ghostbusters Afterlife 2 would be very close to what we had originally in the 80s. Maybe not the comedy so much, but I think it would have the same sort of, I guess, energy. And it would be pretty cool to see. I don't know how they would do it because obviously there'll be kids. So I don't know. Like,
well, I think
unless they go to school in New York, maybe.
If it plays out that way and Winston does play a big part, he is definitely going to be in some kind of like Godfather type role, because I imagine since he is like a bajillionaire at this point, like he would end up paying for them to move to New York, since they got evicted from their apartment in Chicago, since they're pretty much nothing going on at the dirt ranch in Oklahoma. Like, where else are they going to go if they don't go back to New York? So I think that could be really interesting to, if he were to be that like financier kind of daddy Warbucks, so to speak, to kind of fund them to come to New York City. And if done well enough, that would also be an opportunity to incorporate some of the 2016 film into this one as well, if they were to do a sequel. Now, you don't have to have like a full-on mashup film, but like at least acknowledge that they're part of the same universe, if you go back to New York City.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have it that they're part of the same universe. I think that they potentially could have those females in there as new characters, because that female cast was a complete reboot, like relaunch or whatever. That was a separate thing. I don't know, like maybe they should have their own multiverse. But anyway, so there was a lot of links for this film with the original movies. I love the fact that we had the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper and the dogs and Gozer and
the same trio of villains from the first one are back.
I thought that was quite a nice touch. It very much was. I felt
that
very
outfit
Star
still
Wars,
looked the same. It was amazing.
Yeah,
different characters. Olivia Wilde played Gozer in this one, but she was voiced by Shara Agdashloo, which, if you are a fan of The Expanse, that is Christian Avasarala. She is a fantastic actress. She has an amazing voice. So she was the voice of Gozer, but it was really kind of fun to see a villain return like that. Like, we haven't seen that villain in 30 years, and she like still has the same kind of swagger that she had 37 years ago.
Oh yeah. I loved actually Phoebe making all the jokes of her at the front and stuff like that, and then also when Bill Murray was making the jokes as well. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. So Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, honestly, funny guys. I'd love to meet those two. They are hilarious, in all honesty. So I loved all the linkages, and I loved how they did play tribute to Egon, and had his. What I love is at the beginning that they don't show his face; they have someone else playing that part, but obviously it's Egon.
Yes.
And then you find out for definite it's Egon, but you kind of knew it was Egon because the fact they weren't showing the face, and then obviously getting killed off, unfortunately. But it was kind of nice that they incorporated his death into that at the beginning. So I thought the film did really well paying tribute to the originals.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that it was all connected. Like, it's literally the same sort of issue that they had in the first film, where this building was built by this guy who was like obsessed with the occult, and the building was meant to be a beacon for evil to make its way into this world. And when that building was destroyed, the implication is that same designer took his ass from New York all the way to Oklahoma and built the same thing in the middle of nowhere. And that is why Egon left, because he followed that guy who was played by J.K. Simmons in Afterlife as a cameo. And they said that that was because J.K. Simmons and the Reitmans are good friends. And so it was kind of like a favor, like called in by a friend, like, yo, man, come be in my movie for like 10 minutes, please.
Yeah.
So I love that they made that same connection where it's like, so we tried it in New York. It didn't work in New York. I picked up my evil enterprise, moved it to the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, and tried to make it work there. And then the damn Ghostbusters still stopped me from doing it down here. So I thought that whole connection, tying everything together, was not just do we have the original Ghostbusters, but we've got the same architect, we've got the same evil villain. Like, it is literally a direct connection of the stuff that happened in the first film. We didn't finish it the way that we wanted to, so we're just going to go ahead and move that on to this third film that we are putting in this franchise.
Makes me wonder if they do a sequel, whether they'll link it to the
Vigo?
second film. Yeah, Vigo. Yeah, like, so I think the actor's dead, isn't he? But like, it would be pretty cool if they somehow maybe, I don't know, recast or something like that. But it would be pretty cool if they had that as well. A bit like they did with the new Star Treks. They kind of did the Wrath of Khan again, didn't they? Mm-hmm. So it would be cool if they had that again. Like, so I prefer the second one to the first one. Ghostbusters.
Oh, no way. No, well, no. The second one was way scarier. So I definitely preferred the first film. Vigo was way too scary for me as a kid. So I like the first one better because the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was just too damn cute. But like, as far as sequels go, the only reason I think that they would have to go all the way back to New York is because we saw that light flashing when Winston brought the Ecto-1 back to the firehouse. And that was the containment tank where they would put the ghosts after they had put them in traps. So what has happened to this firehouse all this time? Who has been maintaining it? Because somebody had made a joke earlier in the film that the firehouse had gotten turned into a Starbucks, but it didn't look like a Starbucks.
I know. No, that's the one thing I wondered, whether it was a plot hole or whether it was a joke.
Yeah.
So, because when they showed it, I was like, well, that's not Starbucks.
Yeah, like, exactly. So, like, who has been maintaining this containment field all this time? Like, has Winston really been coming back to this firehouse and checking on the containment to make sure that everything was still like? So I'm very interested in that little nugget that they left in the post credits about the containment tank.
I think maybe the Starbucks thing was just what they tell people. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. So, but anyway, we've kind of. I don't know. Is there anything you want to add? Really? Like, I don't think there's anything worth adding to this other than so I hope there's a sequel.
Me too.
Me too.
I like the kids. I like the new characters. I thought it was a really good, like, passing of the torch kind of film. Like, it felt like a continuation, but at the same time it felt like something new, which is kind of hard to do well, and I feel like they did it pretty well, as far as like bridging a 37-year gap.
Yeah, I think it was handled as well as it could be, in terms of, it's difficult, isn't it? Like, when you're following up something you love as a kid, like, and I mean, even the Scream films, every time they make a follow-up, I'm like, oh, I love the original Screams. So like, for me, I think this movie would be like, if they said they're making a Back to the Future 4, I'd be like, okay, I want to see it, but I don't want them to ruin it. Like,
don't mess up my childhood.
Yeah. Like, I'm happy that they've never made a follow-on from number 3. Yeah. So we're a little bit. That's why I didn't mind the 2016 one too much, because it was not a continuation. It was its own thing. This is a continuation, whilst also being its own thing. Yeah. So I obviously walked in there unsure of how this would go. So, but yeah, overall, I think I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. So, but anyway, what would you rate it out of 5?
I keep flopping between like a 3.5 and a 4. I I really, really, really enjoyed the way that they tied it out. You know, fuck it, 4. I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.
So. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm putting that. Like, so hopefully it gets a follow on, which I think would be better. But who knows?
I mean, maybe we get more from Paul Rudd's character too. Like he was good.
A bit of a nothing.
Yeah, but he didn't really do much.
Yeah, I mean, they could have got anyone to play the role he played in.
Yes, exactly.
So I think they put him in there because he's a big name.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know if he had a proton pack at any point. I think he just was.
Because he got possessed by the Keymaster.
Yeah. No, I mean, what I mean is, I was kind of thinking that he might be one of the new Ghostbusters, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking that's where this movie was going to go, but no. Anyway,
it's the kids.
It's all about the kids. So. I know it doesn't help that one of the guys in there was from Stranger Things, but it kind of gave me a Stranger Things vibe in terms of how it was more grounded.
Yeah.
So,
well, Finn Wolfhard said that he didn't think that they were actually going to cast him because he was like, because it just was too obvious that I was a fan of Ghostbusters. Like, I didn't think I would get this part. He's like, especially after we dressed up as a Ghostbusters in Stranger Things. He's like, I just never thought that they would actually call me back.
Well, maybe that's why they're like, oh, he looks the part.
He looks the part.
Yeah. So I think he did well in the film, but I think the style of it gave me very much Stranger Things vibes. Yeah. So,
well, I think they did try to go darker. Like, it was very apocalyptic, and there's like this storm coming, and it was very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, so next week we will be reviewing. So we did season 2 last year.
We did.
This next week we're going to be reviewing A Discovery of Witches season 3,
the third and final season of Discovery of Witches.
Do you know what though? I'm pleased as a final season. Like, in terms of, I hate, like, we say this all the time. I hate it when you get like season 17. I'm like,
we don't. Like the
Grey's
story
Anatomy,
has an end. Okay, it's
Grey's
over.
Anatomy needs to stop. Grey's Anatomy needs to stop. Like, Law and Order, maybe not so much because it's procedural. Who cares? But like, I don't watch Law and Order, but it's just sometimes people need to just become more creative. So I'm pleased that Discovery of Witches is also ending. So I've actually seen the first 2 episodes of season 3. I haven't had time to watch the others, but I will watch them before we record next week.
Yes.
Anyway, you can watch and listen to this podcast wherever. But anyway, that was what you were going to say. Social media, Geeks Unleashed is everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yes. And as Mark was saying, you can get your podcast.
I know. I jumped on your thing.
Wherever you get your podcast, Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, we are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
And we will see you next week.
Good journey.